Hi, movie story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a 2004 action comedy film called Kung Fu Hustle. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Somewhere in a police station in Shanghai, a local mafia boss is beating up the police officers for arresting his beautiful wife, while no one dares to retaliate. He leaves the building while shouting at the officers and walks towards the streets but quickly notices something as all their cars are missing. An army of the rival gangsters from Axe Gang appears in front of the group surrounding the men, leaving them nowhere to run. The gangsters begin shooting their rivals while the mafia boss tries to run away, but one of the generals throws an axe at the running man and cuts off one of his legs, causing him to fall to the ground as he screams in full pain. The Axe Gang leader, Brother Sum, takes a weapon and begins dancing horrifically towards the mafia boss, ignoring the man's plead for mercy while striking him repeatedly. It turns out that the gangster paid officers a lot of money to not interfere, and they continued to terrorize the town with their horrendous dances, killing everyone who stood in their way. In these chaotic times, where the gangster rule over the people, only a poor town like the Pigsty People Alley can live peacefully as the gangs have no interest in their poverty. A tenement home to people of various trades, run by a lecherous landlord who is always drunk all the time. He terrorizes people by flirting with them regardless if the person is a middle-aged man or a beautiful woman with extraordinary teeth. No one seems to escape from his masculine charm, except for his wife, the landlady, who appears to be angry all the time. Her hobby includes shouting at the tenants for late payments and knocking out their most funny-looking men in the village. One day, somewhere in the outskirts of the village, two troublemakers, Sing and Bone, come to the alley impersonating members of the Axe Gang in order to gain respect. They go into the town and begins to blackmail a strange barber man for money, claiming that they are from the Axe Gang. However, their streets are not met with fear as the villagers begin to surround the place with hostility. Realizing that he has chosen the wrong town to terrorize, the skinny man Sing tries to run away but gets stopped by the landlady. The woman proceeds to hit him furiously with a slipper, causing the man to run in fear. Sing threatens to call for backup and throws the firecracker, hitting someone as a result. Surprisingly, he actually alerted the general from the Axe Gang by blowing the man's hat. The gangster walk into the town angrily demanding to know who was throwing the bombs. Sing tells them that it was one of the people inside, and the general proceeds to walk towards the lady. The woman senses trouble and runs in a lightning speed, leaving her tenants to fend for themselves. The situation gets worse when the man tells the gang leader that he is not afraid of their threats, causing the general to walk forward, planning to strike with an axe. However, the man is attacked by a mysterious force and knocked inside a barrel, breaking his spine and forcing the gang to call for backup. Very soon an army of gangsters arrive inside the valley, and begins terrorizing everyone who stands in their way. They take a young girl hostage and pours gasoline over her body, demanding to know the person responsible for killing the captain. After not receiving any response, the gang leader throws a lighter at the girl, but the attempt was stopped by a young man who claims to be the one responsible. The gangsters charge at him in full fury, but he proceeds to counter using a barrage of kicks, knocking the criminals onto the floor. Suddenly, numerous men are knocked away by a super powerful punch as the tailor appears from the crowd as well, fighting the enemies in order to help the young man. The gang tries to fight back by grabbing their weapons, but before they can shoot, the weapons are destroyed as they are sent flying towards the walls. The restaurant owner Donut charges out and begins attacking the gangsters using a stick, breaking their weapons and sending them flying backwards. The man's furious attack conjures a sandstorm where only agonizing screams of the criminals can be heard. In the massive brawl that ensues, more than 50 gangsters are defeated as they desperately try to get away from the town. They are beaten by 3 tenants who are actually powerful martial arts masters: Cooley, master of the 12 kicks; Taylor, master of the Iron Fist; and Donut, master of the hexagon staff. After the fight, the gang leader is furious after what happened and blames Sing and his brother for causing them great embarrassment. The two narrowly escape death when Sing quickly picks the locks on the chains with which they are bound. Sing asks Sum to make himself and Bone members of the Axe Gang. Impressed with his skill at lockpicking, Sum tells them that if they kill just one person, he will allow them to join the gang. Bone questions how they can kill anyone from Pigsty Alley as they all seem to be very powerful, but Sing reveals that he also knows Kung Fu since he was a little boy. Apparently he used up all the money that he saved up to buy a book from a beggar who claims that it will give him great powers. Instead of going to school and becoming a doctor, Sing decided to practice Kung Fu as he wanted the world to protect from the evil. One day he sees a mute girl being bullied by a group of young boys and orders them to stop. Sing decides to help her by using his Kung Fu, but quickly gets beat up and knocked on the floor. The boys embarrass him and laugh at his efforts and leaves the two defeated on the ground. Ever since on that day, Sing decided that good people can never win in this world and swears to be a bad person in order to succeed. He sees an ice cream cart and runs toward it, pretending to be a customer, but runs away quickly after grabbing the cones, leaving the girl to chase after them hopelessly, and Sing laughs at her efforts. Meanwhile, Brother Sum has decided to hire professional killers to take vengeance on the people from Pigsty People. The two men appear to be blind, but they are notorious in the criminal world as they are known to kill their enemies using their music. When the advisors flatter them by calling the assassin the strongest killers, they decline with humility, claiming that another man known as the Beast is the most powerful but currently locked up in the asylum. At night, one of the villagers decide to leave the village to avoid any more trouble, but sees a musician playing his instrument. The man begins walking away from the music as the objects behind are cut into pieces by sound waves. He quickly realizes that something is wrong, but fails to react as the assassin decapitates him. At the same time, the tailor is ambushed by the second musician and forced to fight back as they exchange blows. The two are equally matched in a close combat as their struggle eventually causes them to crash out from the buildings, where the first musician is waiting for them. The blind man starts attacking the tailor using sound waves and sends him flying across the fields. Before the man can be killed by continuous attacks, the restaurant owner shows up and saves the tailor. The fighter is able to counter the enemy's attacks more efficiently using the spear, and he throws all the weapons toward the assassins. Donut flies toward the incoming waves as he deflects the attacks, getting closer towards the opponents as the music intensifies. The man is able to reach the musician with the last weapon, but hits a force field that stops the attack and gets knocked away by the enemy's counter. The musicians regain their position, and continues the fire without the mercy, and the tailor pushes Donut away from the danger, but fatally damaging himself in the process. Before the two are killed by the onslaught, the waves are dispersed by the shouting of the landlady. The assassins realizes that there is another powerful entity here and tries to pursue the woman, but are stopped quickly by the landlord, who descends from the sky. The assassin tries to punch the man, but their attacks bounce off from their landlord's body and causes them to hit each other instead. The landlord grabs onto the two men, and begins throwing them in circle, eventually tossing them away like rag dolls. The assassins recover and tries to use their most powerful attack during turning the sound waves into skeleton warriors that fly toward the man. The landlady steps in and counters using her shouting technique, scattering the demons into pieces and blasting the musicians away. When the fight is over, the people in the town try to save the heroes, but two of them died already, and Donut eventually succumbed to his wounds as well. The following day, after being humiliated and pummeled by a clerk he had previously antagonized, Sing mugs the female ice cream vendor from the earlier scene. She is revealed to be the mute girl from his childhood whom he had vainly tried to defend. He recognizes the old lollipop she offers him as a token of her gratitude, but becomes upset, rebuffing her and berating Bone. In exasperation, he drives Bone away and is picked up by members of the Axe Gang. Brother Sum, having earlier witnessed Sing's ability to quickly pick locks, instructs him to sneak into a mental asylum to free the Beast, a mercenary rumored to be the most dangerous person alive. The Beast is freed and brought over to the Axe Gang headquarters behind a casino. However, his flippant attitude and sloppy appearance puzzles Sum and his men. Soon, they are ultimately convinced when the Beast fires a gunpoint blank at his own head, then stops the bullet between two fingers. The Beast, however, loses interest in Sum, and approaches the landlord and landlady, who have come to Sum's casino to deal with him and his gang. The three masters engage one another, and although initially overcome, the landlady is able to subdue the Beast by breaking the top off a giant funeral bell and using it as a megaphone to amplify her sonic technique, the Lion's Roar. The Beast, injured, pretends to surrender, but then attempts to stab his opponents with poisoned barbs. Although he fails, the landlord and landlady are forced to lock their bodies with his to counter his attack, and all three become unable to move. Sum orders Sing to kill the landlady and landlord, but feeling reformed, Sing beats away Sum and hits the Beast instead. Enraged, the Beast breaks free of the joint lock and pummels Sing. Fortunately, Sing is spirited away by the landlord and landlady when the Beast's back is turned. The Beast, annoyed by his complaints, casually kills Sum and gives chase. At Pigsty Alley, Sing, while wrapped head to toe in bandages and treated with Chinese medicine, undergoes a metamorphosis. He quickly recovers from his wounds, and his latent potential as a natural-born kung fu genius is realized. He engages the Axe Gang and the Beast, fending off the gangsters with ease. However, the Beast puts up a fight, and his toad technique sends Sing rocketing into the sky. As he falls back to Earth, Sing recalls the Buddhist palm, and delivers a blow that knocks the Beast flat and leaves a huge, hand-shaped crater in the ground. The Beast again pretends to surrender, but when Sing relents, the Beast tries to stab him with his poisoned barb, just as he had tried to stab the landlord and landlady. Sing calmly performs another Buddhist palm technique, leaving a 3-story hole in the wall of the tenement, although he intentionally avoids hitting the Beast. Stunned, the Beast remains immobile while Sing relieves him of his weapon. The Beast, stammering, asks Sing what sort of technique he had just performed, Singh offers to teach him, and, weeping, the beast kneels at his feet and admits the battle is over, Singh victorious. Sometime later, Singh and Bone open a candy store. When the mute ice cream vendor walks by, Singh goes out to meet her. The two see each other as their childhood selves, and run happily into the shop while some people of Pigsty Alley, including the landlord and landlady, are shown as normal citizens. Outside, the same beggar who sold Singh the Buddhist palm manual offers a selection of martial arts manuals to a boy eating a lollipop. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.